Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be using the next portion of my Sephora haul, which I'm planning on. I think these two products should go pretty well together, the DIOR Smokey Essentials and the Hibiscus Haze blush. So I did lay down some primer already, just kind of trying to put on primer before I sit down to film so that it has a few minutes to settle. So I'm going to go in with my Banana Conceal Eye Cream today. It's been a while since I've used this. And then I'm going to be mixing two foundations. I'm going to mix the About Face foundation. I actually meant to get a lighter shade of this during the Ulta sale where they had a bunch of drugstore brands on sale, but I completely forgot. They even gave us a points multiplier on the last day and I completely forgot. I'm honestly still kicking myself for it. So I still am using F2 Olive, but I'm going to lighten it by mixing in this Lancome Teint Idole foundation. This is the old formulation. This no longer exists, and the shade that I have is as you can see, too light for me on even most good days. So this will be, I use this these days as like a really light mixer. I do actually quite like the formula of the About Face. I just find that there's like a couple of small things about it that bother me, mostly being the fact that the doe foot, if you put it in too quickly or push it out too quickly, you can splatter foundation on yourself. That's probably my biggest problem with it. But other than that, I do actually quite like it. I do wish it had a little more coverage, but I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. I can work with it. I think the Lancome Teint Idole foundation is currently the oldest foundation in my collection. I'd say the Lancome, the older formulation, has like medium coverage, so adding it to the About Face foundation does also help with increasing its coverage a little bit. The About Face foundation is like one step away from just being basically a glorified skin tint in my opinion. I think F1 Warm should work. I saw Bad to the Brow swatch the F1 or F2 Warm that is just right above this, and it looked still pretty good and it didn't look overly yellow. I don't know, I guess I'll wait for it to go on sale again and then I'll get the shade up. No dry patches, no weird emphasis of texture or anything like that. Okay, and then next for concealer, I'm going to use my JX Professional Triple Concealer in the shade Bright. I like how it has 3 shades. I can mix it depending on the foundation shade I'm wearing that day and stuff like that. And this is a brand new one. I finally am going to let my old one rest in peace. I think I was trying to use up more of it before I opened up this one, but I think it's starting to get a little bit crusty, so I think it had a really good run though. I mean, I used it for a ludicrously long time. I do like to use a sponge to make sure the boundary is a little bit more blended, but I try not to use it on my actual under eye because then it removes product and I want to keep my dark circles covered. Okay, so for bronzer, I am going to use the NARS Laguna bronzer. I think mine is starting to have a little bit of shrinkage. It's starting to pull away from the edges. On the top here you can see, I don't think that was there initially, although at this point I can't remember. So I do think this is starting to dry out a little bit. Now it still performs really, really well. Like, I'm not really noticing any formula difference or any formula downgrade, but I do think it will dry out eventually, as most cream products do. So I've decided to start using this a little bit more often, just so that I can get some use out of it. I mean, I've used it a lot, and I actually really, this is the one that I travel with, so it sees a lot more use than all of my other bronzers, but a little goes a long way, and it is just such a huge pot of product that I knew going into it I would never be able to use up the whole thing, but I just still wanted to get it because I knew I was going to love the color, and the formula has been really good. So even though I'm definitely never going to finish it before it inevitably dries up, I have really enjoyed using it. I've used it several times, and I probably would repurchase it. I got it on sale, and I definitely think I'd get it on sale again. Maybe not immediately when it dries out. I'll, use my other bronzers first because I want to use, I have my Makeup by Mario one, for example, I want to use a little bit more next. But if this gets discontinued, I for sure will buy one just so I can enjoy it for a little while longer. But yeah, I definitely could see myself adding this to my collection again once it dries out. I have never used DIOR or DIOR Backstage shadows before. I I have heard many people argue that the formula for Dior's shadows versus Dior's Backstage shadows are different. I've heard some people say they're the same. I've heard some people say one is better than the other. I have no idea. This will be my first time using Dior shadows today. I'm gonna let the eye primer sit for a little bit, which is what I always do, and I'm going to quickly fill in my eyebrows. So I finally did use up my Too Faced pomade in a pencil, which, you know, yay me. So I'm going to use this now. I'm just trying to finish up some of my other brow products that I don't really care for. My favorite one has definitely lately been the Espoir Brow Balance, but it's always kind of a risk making a Korean makeup product your holy grail product, because Korean companies love to discontinue things really fast. I'm hoping because it's a brow product they'll keep it around for longer, but you really never know, which is always so annoying, but that is just how the industry moves over there. Yeah, this eyebrow always ends up a little bit more arched. I've been having issues where I feel like I keep making the camera go out of focus because I fidget a lot, so for this portion of the eyeshadow, I'm just gonna stay at this level of zoom. I hope that's okay with you guys. Okay, so this is the Dior 9-pan palette in Smokey Essentials 002. I really tried my hardest to resist this palette for a very long time, but every time I walked into a Sephora, I would swatch it and I would just be like, and I would just think about it all over again. So eventually I did cave and I added it to my cart, so we'll see. If I don't like it, it's going back. So I am going to start off with this dark maroon down here. I really liked how this palette leaned a lot more plum, so I'm gonna try, I'm just using a Sigma brush. The shape of this brush is a little bit awkward for me because I can't get super precise, but I do just want to lay this across a pretty large area of my eyelid anyways. And then I will switch to a fluffier brush. I'm going to go into this shade right here. I do have some bumps and spots on my eyelids I'm working on getting rid of. It's getting better, so if you see any like weird texture or stuff, I do have some breakouts on my eyelids I'm working on resolving. I'm gonna go ahead and take this shade and lay it on my lower lash line. I'll let this one go pretty far down. And then I'll take the darker shade. Okay, so right now I feel like I want the darker eyeshadow to go out lower, like out and straight. I suspect that the natural brushes will pick up this formula differently than synthetics will. Currently, my eyelids don't feel super dried out, so that's nice. These feel harder pressed in the pan. I'm not really getting much powder kick-up at all, and I'm not really getting any fallout, but I am able to build up the layers pretty easily. At first, when I was laying down the layers, I felt like I was like, oh, it looks uneven. But with just like 2 or 3 layers, it looks really nice. So I guess this formula is meant to be like more buildable. I blew the shadow out, but going straight so that it kind of is going at a more similar angle to my lower lash line. Okay, I'm going to try using this shade. I'm going to try using that shade to do a little bit more blending. I dropped my brush. The top row seems to be a little bit more satin. That's cool, because the satin sheen actually helps kind of disguise any potential unevenness that I may have created. Well, I don't mind that at all. Okay, and then I want to build up a really deep dark outer corner. So I'm going to now go into this black, which it seems to be more of like a charcoal black. It doesn't seem like it's a black, but you know, we'll see. I'm using a Sonia G. This is one of the funny handled brushes that was done for like limited edition shenanigans, I believe. Ooh, this is a really, really nice black. I'm gonna go ahead and take it closer to my lash line. Yeah, I actually really like how that black is helping to build things up, and it does seem like it could go pretty black if I wanted to. And then I do want to take just a little bit of it on the outer corner here. And I like how it's so dark, but I'm not getting any fallout whatsoever, so it makes it pretty easy to work with too. I like it so far. I'm gonna go back into the darker maroon shade. I am going to use the shimmer in this shade, in this palette. Sorry. I don't know English apparently. Using this palette is just making me wish I could buy all the SUQQU shadows I wanted, because this formula reminds me a lot of just like the good luxury formulas. I quite like this so far. Okay, so for the shimmer, I'm going to use a firm stiff brush. Now the middle row, it appears to be that these three are the shiniest in the palette, but they still, as you can just tell even looking at the pan, and when I swatched it, they were still borderline satin, just very, very toned down, very soft. So definitely it depends on what you're preferring, you know, personally. And then this shade here kind of has a slight flip to it, and it looks to have the most kind of amount of glitter particles, or like, you know, tiny little mica particles, no plastic glitter or anything. So I'm gonna use this shade here, and I'm gonna see what that does, because I don't want to like overwhelm the rest of my look with a shimmer that has such a dark base, but I definitely did really want to use this shade today because it looks so pretty, and when I swatched it, it was really pretty as well. So I'm gonna start applying this kind of close to my lash line. Yeah, this is the kind of palette where like if you want to use a bright metallic shade, you're definitely not going to find that here. You can see that it is just very, very soft. So I would say for me, like for my standards personally, this is a palette of satins and mattes. So if you were going into this palette expecting metallics, then you'd be sorely disappointed. But if you're like into luxury satins, then you might find the range of satins in here to be quite fascinating. This satin does have a lot more of a powderiness to it, so I kind of was getting a little bit of fallout, but I was able to kind of dust it all up. So I'm just going to apply that here. Yeah, if I had applied that all over the lid, it would have muddied up my entire look. So next I'm going to clean my brush. That would help. I'm going to go into this middle shade here. Focus please. Here. And start transitioning into an inner corner highlight. I definitely also was like super drawn to the middle shade because it has a bit of a taupe vibe to it. I think this will be a really fun shade to put on my lower lash line. It'll be nice and dark, but it'll still have a little bit of shine to it. Oh yeah. I'm a fan so far. I think this palette will get to stay with me. I'm gonna pull for a clean brush now so that I can do the inner corner work without any contamination. And I'm going to use this shade up here, which looks to be quite stark white, but it is a satin, so it should be alright. If not, I'll use something else. Oh, no, that's not white. It actually is almost like a white with a flip. It looks so white in the pan, and then I put it on it. It actually has a pink slash orange slash red kind of flip to it. It's like a satin version of those white based multi-chrome iridescent shades, but like it's luxury, so it's satin and it's toned down. That actually matches really, really well. I was like, at first I was like, why is there a white in here? But it's not white at all. This was the only shade that I didn't swatch when I was in Sephora because I thought because it was white I didn't bother to swatch it because, you know, I only have like 5 fingers on one hand. Now, as you can see, it's not super shiny, so if you were looking for a shiny iridescent shifter, you obviously are going to want to look elsewhere. You can definitely get CLIONADH iridescent multi-chromes. Okay, I actually really like this. I think it looks really pretty. Maroon and plum undertones are definitely making me very happy. But I do think I could use a little bit of pizzazz because like it's me, so I'm going to do that. I literally placed my CLIONADH order during the last Black Friday slash Thanksgiving slash holiday or something. It was some kind of sale that was either end of 2023 or beginning of 2024, so not from their ongoing anniversary sale, which I wish I could partake in, but I can't. And I finally got around to unboxing it and putting it into my palette this evening. So it was late coming, but I have this beautiful acrylic palette, and I actually, so when I placed my order, I did addition and I did math to make sure that I wouldn't buy more than I had pans for. I was one off, so I've just got a random CLIONADH shade floating around in exile, unable to join its friends, and I feel very bad for it. So like part of me is like, okay, you need to buy another one, but then it'd be like one shade in it and the rest would be empty, and then I guess I'd be tempted to fill them again with things, which is not necessarily a bad thing because having a CLIONADH collection, whoever didn't like that, but money. So I have all of these except for one are in here right now. For today's look, to add a little bit of pizzazz, I kind of wanted to, I think Empress will be really fun, which is this shade right here. I don't have any of the like super red multi-chromes because I don't like them. Like any like red, pink multi-chromes I don't like, versus like coral gold, pink gold, I'm all over. But like for example, the shades found in like Tom Ford Cherry Smoke or something, I never bought Cherry Smoke because I'm just not really a big fan of those kinds of red shifts. But so I don't have any that would like perfectly go well with this plum look, but I think Empress will be fun. And I'm just gonna apply this shade very sparsely because I don't want to cover up the eyeshadow. I just want a little bit of pizzazz. Just like that. It's a very light amount, but it just provides a little extra brightness. And I will go ahead and tap a little bit on the middle of my lower lash line as well. So I'm gonna call the eyes done now. I think this is pretty good. Yeah, I just need to put on some false lashes and mascara and finish the rest of my face with makeup. So yeah, you can kind of see I have a little bit of fallout from when I was using the dark shimmer because that was the most powdery of the bunch, but I didn't set my face, so it's not like I can really get rid of it. I do think I need a little bit of brown in the waterline. My waterline is not contributing anything. I'm just gonna do the outer corner. Yeah, it just tones it down a little bit. I don't generally put eyeliner across my entire waterline, but just the minimum necessary to convey the effect, which is to just kind of tamp down how pink my waterline is. Okay, I'm gonna go off camera to do my mascara and then I'll be back and we can finish up this makeup look. Okay, I'm back. My lashes are on and I did go ahead and take down my hair and my bangs. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this makeup look. So first I'm going to use the Haus Labs blush in Hibiscus Haze. Now for those of you who don't know, the original Haus Labs blushes used to be a lot bigger and they also used to not have the colored top. So just for comparison, here is the size difference. And I do actually quite like the new colored tops. It makes it easier to see what product I have. But the product difference, it is now, what is it? It is now 5 grams versus 11 grams, so less than half of the original product. But the thing is that it only went down a few dollars, so the price per gram inflation was definitely pretty insane. So initially I wasn't going to buy it at all, but Hibiscus Haze was the only shade in the original lineup that I missed and regretted missing out on. So because Hibiscus Haze got brought back, I was like, well, I really did want that shade, and I do really like the rose shade too, but I I don't know, I'm kind of over brands just pulling this kind of bullshit on us, because like it's really frustrating, you know, because it's like, really, you're gonna do that? Like, but this is the Hibiscus Haze shade. It is really pretty, and I think it will match the eye look that I have on today. So I'm just going to use a fluffy brush, kind of small, because I kind of want to be precise with where I put this. And these are very pigmented, and my face is not powdered. So I am going to rub it onto the back of my hand first, just to make sure it's nice and dispersed. And then I'm going to start applying it. And I do really like the formula personally. Like, I think it's a good formula. I have 3 of the other colors. I have the red one, I have the peach one, and then I have the very bright pink one, and I like all of them. I do wish that Haus Labs would come out with an orange one, like a super orange one. And I'm just really kind of letting the blush connect to the eyeshadow. I do have to be careful when I'm applying blush, because even the best powder blush formula can stick down and not blend if you have like a dewy hydrating foundation underneath. I mean, that's just physics. Okay, and then next I am going to go ahead and put on a highlighter of some kind. I don't think I need a really like drastic highlighter because my eye look is not super metallic. I just want like a little tiny bit. I'm gonna go for, okay, I know this is gonna sound kind of like, it's gonna like sound kind of stupid because I just said I don't want my highlighter to be like super poppin', but I'm gonna use the shades in here. I was trying to reach for a specific highlighter in my highlighter drawer, but my hands are so shaky right now. I just kept dropping it, and I was like, I'm going to drop something and break it, so I'm just gonna pull for this because it's closer and easier to reach. So I just pulled this out. But I'm gonna use a brush instead of my finger, and as you can see, I'm not applying very much, so I'm able to keep it nice and toned down. Pretty sure I'm gonna hold on to this highlighter quad until I'm like in the mausoleum, just so that it makes my nose bridge appear a little bit higher. Okay, and then next I do want to do my setting powder before I do the lips. I'm going to use 2 powders today, so because my foundation is a little bit dark and it's a little bit warm, because the F2 olive, it's a very warm olive, which is great if you're warm olive, not so great if you're cool olive like me. So I'm gonna use my SUQQU powder, and this is a limited edition shade. I don't know if it ever got brought back, so I do apologize that it's not very helpful I'm using this because you can't get this anymore, but this is my favorite lavender powder that I've ever used in the history of ever. Really like this powder. So I'm just gonna sweep this gently across the inner portion of my face. And I'm gonna make sure I hit my under eyes as well. This is one of the best powders that I've ever used. It is just so perfect if you have dry skin. And the lavender is really great just to subtly correct the yellow, any like sallowness I have in my skin, because I do have like yellow overtones in my skin. You know, lavender is a very popular color to use for cosmetics in East and Southeast Asia just because of the fact that it can cancel out yellow. For the rest of my face, I'm going to use my Kogendo Moisture Powder because I like it, and I don't want to alter anything about the rest of my complexion. I'm just waiting for the pan to grow. It's such a weird shape of pan, but you can tell that the reason it's panning that way is because of the way that the powder is swirled together. It kind of is like, you kind of will notice that it tends to wear away kind of in the same shape as the swirls, which is really interesting. So I really like how my complexion is looking right now. I feel like it just looks so smooth and textureless, but I don't look dry either, so I like how it looks today. The About Face foundation I feel like really does have such a pretty finish, and it powders down very nicely. That's kind of what I've noticed, is that if I don't like how dewy it looks, because it is very, 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 very dewy, it does powder down very, very well. I'm going to use the Romand lip liner in Dovey Pink, because I do feel like using a pink lip liner today. So you can see that the one thing I really like about a lot of Korean lip liners is that if you have hyperpigmentation around your mouth, the lip liners can really help to correct it. So you can see that the outside corners of my mouth look a little bit brighter now because I do have some pretty serious hyperpigmentation around my mouth. It's just a normal thing. It's very common. Just happens. I don't know if it's going to be too overpowering for how strong my eyes are, but if it is, I also don't care. But this is in the shade Hushed Cherry, and I saw it first being used in I saw it first when I saw the campaign photo shoot that was done featuring Winter, and I just thought it looked so cool on her, so I decided to buy it because I wanted that same shade. This is from Espoir. I haven't really used much from Espoir because generally speaking they can be pretty pricey. These days with the price of everything going up, they suddenly seem almost reasonable because their prices haven't really changed. And for what it's worth, I do prefer darker tints on me anyways because it lets me contour the edges of my lips and make my mouth look whiter, so that is one layer. It's a little bit more translucent than I anticipated, but I feel like that's going to make it pretty versatile. Okay, I tried to really focus the darkness on the center of my lips. It's a little bit hard to get an even blend though. Yeah, this seems like it's kind of settling into my lines a little bit. You can kind of see. I mostly got this for the color. For the price, so I found this on YesStyle for about $15–16 and it was on sale down to like $13–14. I think for the price, and full price it's like over 20 US dollars. I think full price, not worth it. Find it on discount, not so bad, but I think personally it is sinking into my lines. I feel like I couldn't quite get a super even application, so I still think I prefer other brand of glossy tints, but I will say color wise, I like this color. This is going to be my finished look. Really, really pretty. And of course, you know, the red matches my hair nicely. What can I say? I guess I'm just really into reds and pinks right now, which is like fine. But yeah, I actually really, really like how this turned out, and I guess that the DIOR 9-pan palette's not going to be leaving because I actually had such a great time using it for the first time. I liked it, so I'm happy that I liked it. I don't think this is going to make me go buy more DIOR 9 pans because last I checked a lot of them actually are no longer available, and as far as I can see it seems like there's only 2 colors, this one and a warm toned one, so it's not going to make me go back and get the other one. It's going to have to be something like this again where the colors just really are something that I gravitate towards. I'm not just going to buy it because I think it's pretty, like it has to also like catch me, which is what this 9-pan palette definitely did. So we'll see. I don't know if this is going to make me want to get their quints either, just because their quints are so darn expensive, and unlike the Tom Ford cremes, like it's just another powder shadow. I'm not sure yet if I could be swayed. I mean, like never say never to anything, but we'll see. I also feel like compared to Tom Ford, the DIOR quint packaging feels a lot cheaper. Like I'm just gonna say that, okay? That's what I think. But other than that, I really enjoyed everything I used. I think the Rare Beauty eye primer was probably the way to go because I feel like the eyeshadows from DIOR blended out really well on top of it. And what I really liked was that I could layer it, but it still built up really nicely because you can see how dark I was able to get things even when I layered it. It took a couple layers, but these are very buildable and you can get them to look true to pan. The other thing that I really like about this that I've been kind of noticing with these luxury formulas lately is that I don't feel like my eyelids got dried out as I layered on powder mattes. Like especially, this happens to me all the time. This is mostly a problem especially with Korean and Chinese formulas because they just are so mattifying and so smoothing that I can feel it drying out my eyelids. And it's a problem with other matte formulas too. Like it's hardly a problem unique to one brand or not. But I've noticed when I use these luxury formulas, or if it's like a makeup artist brand like Danessa Myricks for instance, I had such a great time with that, where I've noticed that I'm using all of these powder products on my eyelids and I just don't feel dried out. And like I definitely have been working really hard on hydrating my skin, taking care of my eye area, but I don't think that can still account for how dramatically different these eyeshadows feel. I just don't think that that is the whole explanation. There is just something about this formula, about the Danessa Myricks formula, where I just really just feel like they just feel so different. And so because of that, I definitely am looking forward to using the last palette that I bought during the sale, which is this YSL one. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if this can give me similar results, if this can feel the same. And so hopefully it works, we'll see. Even if I don't like it though, I'm keeping this because like the little puffy, like the packaging of this is just so adorable. that is going to be this video completed. I hope you guys enjoyed just a very simple but smoky burgundy plum look. I really like this. If cool toned plums can become trendy for this year, then I am going to be in so much trouble wallet wise. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have anything, as always, feel free to leave feedback, comments, whatever in the comment section. If there's anything else from Dior's beauty line I should try, definitely let me know. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll stop rambling now, and until then, take care. Bye bye.